The space station floated in quiet silence above the dusty red planet below. Inside, the halls were filled with soft humming sounds from the power lines, the quiet tapping of tools, and the voices of human workers doing routine checks. It was a place for repairs, research, and waiting for something more exciting to happen. Alex was just a technician. He worked the night shift, fixing broken wires, recharging drones, and cleaning solar panels. Life was simple. He ate the same food every day, drank weak coffee, and mostly kept to himself. His only fun came from watching old Earth shows or joking with the cleaning bots. But that morning, something different happened. A message came through the station's main system. A diplomatic ship from the Galari Empire was arriving. It was rare. The Galari were mysterious aliens. They didn't visit human space often, and when they did, it was never without a reason. Alex didn't think it would matter to him. He was just a tech guy. He wasn't part of the command team, and he didn't expect to get anywhere near a Galari ship. But the docking port near his work area was assigned for the arrival. He had to run last-minute checks before the ship connected. When the alien vessel arrived, it moved with grace, as if it were gliding on invisible waves. Its surface shimmered like moonlight, and soft lights traced across its curves. Alex watched from the side as the airlock hissed open, and then she stepped out. The alien woman was tall and moved like flowing water. Her skin was a soft lavender with glowing silver marks along her arms. Her long hair floated gently behind her, and her eyes sparkled like stars. She wore a robe that shimmered when the light touched it, and around her neck was a symbol of her rank-ambassador. Everyone around her stood still. Even the officers were speechless. She didn't look cold or proud like most diplomats. Instead, she smiled and bowed politely. "I am Thelina," she said, her voice calm and musical. "Thank you for your welcome." Alex wasn't supposed to be in the way, but he stood there, frozen. She glanced in his direction for just a moment. Her eyes met his, and he looked away quickly, pretending to check a panel. He tried to focus on his work, but something about her stayed in his mind. It's the way she moved, the way she spoke, the kindness in her eyes. It was all different. She was not just beautiful. She seemed ... kind. Calm, strong. As the group walked past, Alex whispered, softly to himself, "Wow, she's amazing. I wish I had a wife like that." He thought no one would hear it. It was just a quiet thought, just a little voice inside his heart. But in that moment, Thelina stopped walking. She turned her head slightly, and then without a word continued. Walking with the officers, Alex felt a chill crawl down his back. Had she heard him? No, that wasn't possible. She was far away, and he hadn't even spoken loudly. Still, something in her reaction made him uneasy. He went back to work, trying to forget it. Maybe it was nothing. The next day he was in the same hallway, checking power lines. The lights flickered for a moment. He tapped his tool against the wall and sighed. "You are Alex? Yes?" came a soft voice behind him. He turned and nearly dropped his tool. It was her. Thelina stood calmly, holding a small silver device in her hand. Her eyes were gentle but clear. "I was told you fixed the docking lights yesterday," she said. "I wanted to thank you. They worked perfectly." Yes. You're welcome," he said quickly. "Just doing my job." There was an awkward pause. He didn't know what else to say. She didn't leave. "Do humans often speak there?" "Thoughts out loud?" she asked suddenly. His heart skipped. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Yesterday, as I walked by," she said, "I heard something. It was a soft whisper. But your meaning was clear." Alex's face turned red. "You heard that?" She nodded. He opened his mouth to explain, to apologize, to say something smart, but nothing came out. She didn't look angry, though. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, as if curious. "Was it a compliment?" she asked. Yes, it was. I didn't mean anything bad, just a thought. Graceful, kind. I didn't mean to be rude." She smiled. "In my culture, a true compliment is a rare and valuable thing. When someone speaks from the heart, it carries power." Alex didn't know how to respond. He was just a tech guy. He never expected to talk to an alien ambassador, much less have her quote his whispered wish back to him. "Well, thanks for not being mad," he mumbled. "I am not offended," she said softly. "I am curious." And with that, she turned and walked away. Alex stared after her, confused and nervous. Curious? What did that mean? And why did her smile stay in his thoughts long after she was gone? Alex couldn't stop thinking about her words. "I am curious." They repeated in his mind all night. He tried to sleep, but his thoughts kept drifting back to that moment. She had smiled at him, not with judgment or mockery, but like she actually meant it. No alien had ever looked at him that way before. The next morning, Alex arrived early to work. He hoped he wouldn't run into her again, but also, maybe he hoped he would. As he walked into the hallway near the docking bay, he nearly dropped his coffee. Taylina was standing there, waiting. "Good morning," she said in her calm voice. "Good morning," he replied, nervously adjusting his tool belt. She walked beside him as he checked a nearby panel. The hallway was quiet, just the two of them. Alex felt his palms sweating. "May I ask a personal question?" Thalina said after a pause. Alex looked at her. "Sure, I guess. Do all humans feel lonely in space?" The question caught him off guard. He wasn't sure how to answer. "Well, some do," he said slowly. "I guess it depends on the person. And you?" she asked gently. He hesitated. "Yeah, I do sometimes." Thalina didn't speak right away. Instead, she looked out the small window at the stars. Her eyes were thoughtful, not sad, just calm. "My people do not speak our hearts so freely," she said. "We are taught to hide our feelings even from ourselves. But hearing your voice that day, it was honest. It surprised me." Alex smiled awkwardly. "I didn't mean for you to hear it." "But you did say it," she replied. "That is what matters." Alex didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to being the center of attention, especially not by someone like her. "I'm sorry if it caused trouble," he said finally. "There is no trouble," she said. "But in Galari tradition, when someone speaks a desire aloud, Evan, quietly it is seen as an invitation to explore that feeling." Alex blinked. "Wait, what do you mean by that?" "It means," she said, "I am here to understand why you said those words." Alex almost choked on his own breath. He never expected his whisper to become a full conversation, let alone... "Look, Ambassador, call me Thalina," she said softly. "Okay, Thalina. I was just talking to myself." It wasn't. "Serious. You're kind and graceful and all. But I'm just a repair tech. That is not important to me," Thalina said. "I do not judge by rank or title. I listen to action and truth." Alex scratched the back of his neck. "Well, in that case, I guess I was just impressed. You were calm, polite, and strong. Most high-ranking visitors don't even look at us. And that is why your words were different," she said. "They were not said to impress. They were not expected to be heard, so that makes them true." Before Alex could reply, a voice called out over the comm. "Tech Crew 2 engineering panel for overheating." He gave a small shrug. "That's me. I should..." "Go. I will walk with you," she said. "You don't have to." "I want to," she replied. So they walked together. Other workers turned their heads, whispering. Some even stopped what they were doing. A Galari ambassador walking side by side with a human technician. It was not normal, but Thalina didn't seem to notice or care. As they walked, she asked more questions. About Earth food, about human music, about birthdays. She seemed interested in the small things, not just politics or science. "Do humans celebrate unions with music?" she asked. "You mean like marriage?" Alex replied. "Yes, two people choose to stay together. We usually have a ceremony with family and friends. Sometimes there's dancing and cake." "Cake?" she asked. "Sweet food. Very popular." She smiled. "Your customs are warm, simple, but full of feeling." "What about your people?" he asked. "Do Galari, form bonds?" "We don't form them easily," she said. but when we do, it is deep and permanent. It starts with a request to share time called the bond test, and then, if both feel connection, it continues. If not, they part with honor. Alex tried to imagine her going through such a thing. Couldn't picture her with anyone. She seemed too distant, too perfect for that, when they reached engineering. She stopped walking. "I will wait outside," she said. "Are you sure?" "Yes. I enjoy the quiet." He nodded and entered the room. Inside, he found himself smiling. A little. Somehow talking to her made his usual job feel lighter. When he returned, she was still there. "Thank you for walking with me," he said. "Thank you for your honesty," she replied. Just before she turned to leave, she added, "I would like to speak again? Tomorrow, perhaps?" "Sure," Alex said before he even thought about it, and then she was gone. As he walked back to his quarters later, one of the other crew members nudged him. "Dude, is the alien ambassador following you around?" Alex just gave a small smile. He didn't have an answer yet, but he knew something strange was starting to grow, and it all began with a whisper he never meant her to hear. Alex didn't expect to see Thalina again so soon, but the next morning, she was waiting in the hallway like before. She stood near the same panel, calm and graceful, her hands behind her back. When she saw him, she gave a small nod. "Good morning." "Alex," he smiled, still unsure why she kept meeting him. "Good morning, Thalina." They walked again, this time through the garden section of the station. It was a small place, filled with artificial trees and recycled air. It didn't feel like nature, but it was the closest thing the station had. "Do you enjoy this place?" Thalina asked. "Yeah," Alex replied. "It's quiet. It makes you forget you're stuck in metal walls all day." She touched a fake leaf. "Gently, my world has trees that float on wind currents. They sing in the breeze. This is different, but peaceful in its own way." They sat on a bench. No one else was around. "I've been thinking about your words," she said softly. Alex felt his heart skip. "My words?" "Yes." "The ones you whispered?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "You're not going to let me forget that, are you?" "Should I?" she asked. He laughed nervously. "I guess not." She turned to face him. "Where I come from, if someone speaks a desire, especially one that comes from deep feeling, it must be answered." He asked an honest one, she replied. "If the desire is true, we invite the person to join us in what we call a bond test. It is a shared experience. Not a promise, but a path." Alex blinked. "Wait, are you saying you want me to join this bond test?" Thalina nodded slowly. "I wish to understand your heart. You wished for something. I do not ignore such wishes." Leaned forward, trying to stay calm. "Look, I was just saying something. I didn't mean to make it a big deal, perhaps," she said, "but you did say it. And now I have a choice. I can ignore it, or I can explore it. But I'm just a tech guy," he said. "You're an ambassador. You're elegant, smart. From a powerful species, why me?" She looked into his eyes. "Because you are honest. Because you spoke from the heart, not from pride. Because you looked at me not as a title, but as a person." Alex didn't know what to say. She stood. "The choice is yours. If you accept, you will travel with me to a Galari outpost. We will spend time together, away from others. We will face tests, not just of skill, but of understanding. At the end, we will decide. Decide what? Whether we continue or part ways." He looked down at the floor. It all sounded like something from a movie. This wasn't normal. This wasn't supposed to happen to people like him. "Can I think about it?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "I will return in one day." She walked away without another word. Alex sat there frozen. That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thoughts running wild. What if he said yes? What if it was a mistake? What if he made a fool of himself? But then he remembered. Her eyes come open, not judging him. She had treated him like he mattered. And when was the last time anyone did that? He woke up early. Before his shift, he walked to the viewing window, staring at the stars. He didn't know much about Galari customs, But he knew his life had been the same every day. Boring, routine, safe, but this. This was something different. Maybe it was worth the risk. When Thelina returned, she didn't ask anything. She simply looked at him. He nodded once. I'll do it. She smiled. Prepare to leave in 3 hours, she said. He packed quickly, just basic clothes. A toolkit and his cum device. He told his supervisor he was going on a cultural mission. The man looked confused but nodded. No one said anything else. They boarded her small shuttle and took off inside. It was quiet, smooth, and filled with soft blue lights. It was nothing like the clunky human ships. Thelina sat beside him, explaining the journey. We are going to an old training outpost. It is a peaceful place, but isolated. No one will bother us there. What do we do when we get there? Alex asked. We speak, we learn, we face challenges together. Nothing dangerous, but real. He nodded. Okay, halfway through the flight, alarms started flashing. What's going on? Alex asked. Lena's face stayed calm. She tapped a screen. Pirates, she said. They are scanning for ships to steal. What do we do? Avoid them, if we can. But the shuttle jolted. Pulse beam hit the rear. Shields weakening, she said. Alex stood up. Can I help? She handed him a small control stick. Guide the backup engines. I'll focus on shields. They worked together, dodging attacks, flying between asteroids. Alex's hand shook, but he followed her instructions. A blast hit the front. The shuttle spun. Alex was thrown to the side. He hit the wall hard and groaned. Alex. Thelina rushed to him, checking his wound. I'm okay, he said, wincing. Just a bruise. She placed a glowing device on his side. The pain faded. You risked yourself, she said. So did you. Their eyes met. The shuttle finally escaped. Pirate ship lost their trail. They sat in silence for a long time. Then Thelina whispered, You're not what I expected, Alex. He smiled weakly. I'm full of surprises. The Galari outpost sat quietly on a moon that circled a gas giant. It wasn't large or fancy. Most of the buildings were old and made from smooth white stone, with blue lights glowing in the cracks. Strange plants grew along the paths there, leaves wide and soft like paper. When Alex stepped off the shuttle, everything felt peaceful. The air smelled sweet, almost like flowers in clean rain. A soft wind blew across the stone paths. He had never seen anything like it. This is where the bond test begins, Thelina said as they walked together. There are no guards here. No visitors. Only us. It's quiet, Alex said. It is meant to be, she replied. A small house was prepared for them. Inside were 2 separate rooms, a sitting area, and a table with fruit and glowing water. Everything was simple but clean. Alex sat down on one of the cushions. So, what do we do now? Thelina sat across from him. We begin the first step. It is called the path of truth. You'll ask questions. We must answer honestly. Always. Okay, Alex said. She looked at him gently. What is your greatest fear? He blinked. That's how we start. Always with truth. He took a deep breath. I guess. I'm afraid of being alone forever. I try not to think about it, but yeah, that's the truth. She nodded. Thank you. Your turn, he said, trying to stay calm. What's your greatest fear? Losing myself, she said. Losing who I am while trying to please others. In my world, duty often replaces feeling. I do not want to become hollow. They sat quietly after that. The words hung in the air like soft clouds. The next day, they walked through the gardens. Thelina showed him glowing stones that sang when touched, and trees that opened wide leaves when they sensed kindness. Alex laughed when one of them wrapped a leaf around his hand like a hug. They shared more questions as they walked. What do you dream of? She asked. A place that feels like home, he said. Not just walls, but people who make it feel warm. And you? He asked. A partner who sees me not the title, not the role. Just me. Alex glanced at her. I think I'm starting to see you. She looked at him, eyes calm and steady. And I see you. Later that day, Thalana took him to a tall cliff that overlooked a glowing lake. The sky above had two suns, one small and one large, and they painted the water with gold and blue colors. This is the second step, she said. The path of action. We must complete a task together. It shows how we work as one. What kind of task? He asked. She pointed toward a floating platform on the lake. We must reach that island using no machines, only what is around. Us. Alex looked around. No boats, huh? No boats. He smiled. All right, let's build a raft. They gathered large leaves and flexible vines. It wasn't easy. The vines were slippery, and the leaves kept folding up. Alex got soaked. Twice trying to test the raft, Thalina laughed quietly. Your spirit is strong. My clothes are wet, he said, shaking his arms. After a few hours, they finally built a working raft. They pushed it into the water and climbed on. The ride was bumpy, but they laughed the whole way. When they reached the platform, they sat. Side by side, we make a good team, Alex said. Yes, she replied. You did not give up, even when it was difficult, because you were counting on me. I will count on you again, she said. The next morning was quiet. They didn't talk much. They just sat under a tall tree, watching the sky. It was a soft silence, one that felt warm. Do you still wish for someone like me? Thalina asked suddenly. Alex looked at her. Not someone like you? She turned slightly, confused. I wish for you, he said. Her eyes widened just a little, and then she smiled. That is the third step, she whispered. The path of choice. What does that mean? It means we decide. She stood and walked a few steps away. Then she turned back to him. I choose to continue, she said softly. Alex stood up. Al-Hozel, I do too. That night, they lit a small lantern in the garden. It was a Galari tradition. The flame inside danced gently, showing that the bond had passed all three steps: truth, action, and choice. We are now in a pre-union state, Thalina explained. Our people will be told, and if both agree after some time, we may complete the bond. So this is real? Alex asked. Yes, she said. As real as your whisper. He smiled. Guess my whisper was stronger than I thought. Strong enough to reach another heart, she replied. The bond between Alex and Thalina had grown stronger after the lantern was lit, though no formal promise was made yet. Something had already changed. The way they looked at each other, the quiet smiles, the long walks, they were no longer strangers. From different worlds, on the fourth day at the Galari outpost, a message arrived from the main Galari council. Elena read it silently, while Alex sat nearby, fixing one of the water filters. Is everything okay? He asked, wiping his hands. On a cloth she nodded slowly, then looked up at him. The council wants us to return early. They say a meeting is being arranged, between your people and mine. Alex frowned. Is that bad? No, she said. But it means our time here is ending. He sat beside her. I guess it couldn't last forever. Nothing does, she said. But what begins with truth has no end. Not if both people wish to continue. He nodded. I do. They didn't speak for a while. Instead, they watched the small glowing pond in front of their cabin. Soft lights floated above the water like fireflies. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of meaning. They prepared to leave the next morning. While packing, Alex stopped and looked around the small room he had stayed in. Funny, he said. This place feels more like home than anywhere else I've been. Thalina smiled. Because you shared your heart here. On the way to the shuttle, they passed the lake where they had built the raft. The platform still floated in the distance. Should we say goodbye to it? Alex asked. We already have, Thalina replied. We carry its memory with us. As the shuttle lifted off, Alex looked back at the outpost, then at Thalina beside him. Are you nervous about the meeting? He asked. Not nervous, she said. Curious. They arrived at the Galari Central Station, a large, shining place filled with flowing light, soft music, and floating platforms. Alex had never seen anything so beautiful or complex. It felt like walking inside a dream, diplomats from both sides. were already there, humans in dark uniforms and Galari in long glowing robes. Some of them stared when Alex walked in beside Tha Lena. Whispers began. A few looked surprised. Some looked confused, but no one said anything aloud. A Galari elder stepped forward. He looked at Thalina, then at Alex. "You have completed the bond test with a human?" the elder asked. "Yes," Thalina said firmly. "And your heart?" "My heart is chosen," she replied. The elder turned to Alex. "Do you understand what this means in our culture?" Alex took a breath. "I think so. It means I don't want to walk away from her. I want to walk with her." The elder stared at him for a moment, then slowly nodded. "Your kind is known for fire and will," he said. "Perhaps it is time we see your softer strengths as well." After the meeting, Alex and Thalina walked through the gardens of the station. The plants here changed color as they passed, shifting from soft green to pale pink and back again. "That went better than I thought," Alex said. "You were brave," Thalina replied. He looked at her. "You've always been brave." "Not always," she said. "But with you, I feel safe to be who I am." Alex reached out and gently took her hand. Her fingers wrapped around his without hesitation. "So what happens now?" he asked. "We return to your station," she said. "And continue building what we've started together?" "Yes," she said. "Always together." When they returned to the human station, things were not as calm. News of their bond test had already spread. People stared, whispered, and even asked questions. Some of the crew were supportive, but others were confused. "You're serious?" one technician asked Alex. "You and her?" "Yes," Alex replied with a quiet smile. Another officer shook his head. "Never thought I'd see the day a Galari walked hand in hand with a tech guy." Thalina stood beside Alex through it all. She answered questions when needed and stayed silent when words weren't helpful. "We do not need their approval," she told Alex one evening. "I know," he said, "but it would be nice." 2 weeks later, a formal message arrived from both councils. It gave permission for Alex and Thalina to continue their bond process without interference. The message was short but clear. "Your honesty and unity have shown what we could not see. May your path light the way for others." Alex read the message twice, then looked at Thalina. "So, it's official?" "Yes," she said. "And soon we will reach the final step." "What's that?" "The joining," she said softly. "Not just of two people, but of two ways of life." That night, as they sat near the station's viewing window, watching the stars, Alex spoke quietly. "Remember when I whispered something?" "Stupid." She turned toward him. "It was not stupid. It changed everything." "Yes," she said with a smile. "It changed my life." He looked into her calm silver eyes. "Mine too." Weeks passed after the council's approval, and life slowly returned to normal on the human station, or at least it tried to. Alex still repaired panels, replaced filters, and carried his old toolkit. But now every time he walked through the halls, he wasn't alone. Thalina was often by his side, calm and graceful, wearing simple robes instead of the usual ambassador clothing. She said she wanted to be seen as more than just a symbol. Many crew members still stared. Some whispered, but others began to smile, even greet her. A few stopped Alex in the hallway. "Never thought someone like you would end up with her," one man said. Alex just chuckled. "Me neither." But deep inside, he knew this wasn't some accident. It was real. It was something that grew step by step through honesty, trust, and time. The final step of the Galari bond, called the joining, was now only a few days away. The joining was not just a ceremony. It was a quiet moment shared between two people, guided by a Galari elder. It was private, held inside a chamber with soft lights and old symbols carved into the walls. On the morning of the joining, Thalina stood outside Alex's room holding a small silver box. Inside was a stone smooth and warm that pulsed gently with light. "This is given when the final step begins," she said, placing the stone in his palm. "It carries both of our memories." Alex stared at the stone. "How?" "It listens. It remembers feelings. It holds silence and words. He smiled softly, kind of like me. She laughed quietly. Yes, that is why it suits you. Walked together to the small ceremony room inside the station. The Galari elder who met them was calm, with silver robes and gentle eyes. The bond began with a whisper, he said, then moved through truth, action, and choice. How it ends. With unity. He guided them to sit facing one another, the stone between them on a low platform. Place your hands upon the stone. Speak nothing unless it comes from the heart. Alex placed his hand gently on the stone. Thalina did the same, a warm light. Wrapped around their fingers. For a long time, neither spoke. They just looked into each other's eyes. No sounds, no pressure, only quiet understanding. Then Alex spoke. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't think someone like you would ever look my way, but you did. Now I can't imagine my life without you in it. Thalina replied softly. You saw me not as a title, not as a figure, but as a person. And when you whispered your wish, you awakened a part of me that had been silent too long. The light from the stone grew brighter. The elder stepped forward. The bond is now complete. You are joined in spirit, in purpose, and in path. He stepped away, and the room returned to quiet stillness. Alex and Thalina stood up. She gently picked up the stone and placed it in a pouch tied to her waist. Now, Alex asked. We walk the next steps together, she said, after the ceremony. Messages came from both the human and Galari councils. They congratulated the couple and welcomed their union as a symbol of peace and trust. Between species, Alex was surprised when he received an invitation to speak at the next diplomatic event. At first he thought it was a joke. Me? It's B2. The council. You are no longer just a technician, Thalina said. You're part of something bigger now. I don't even know how to talk fancy, he said. Speak like you always do, she replied. From the heart. On the day of the event, Alex stood in front of a room filled with humans and Galari, along with members of other alien species. He wore a simple suit. Thalina stood beside him, quiet and calm as always. He stepped forward, took a breath, and spoke. I'm not a hero. I didn't fight any battles or command any ships. All I did was say something I thought no one heard. A small wish. A quiet voice. But that voice reached someone who listened. He looked at Thalina, and because of that, everything changed. The room was silent, but not cold. It felt full like the air was waiting. Alex smiled. Sometimes. The smallest words start the biggest journeys. Afterward, people came up to shake his hand. Even some Galari nobles bowed respectfully to him. And for the first time, Alex didn't feel like just a background worker. He felt seen. Later that night, Alex and Thalina stood near the large viewing window. The stars stretched wide across the sky. They didn't need to talk. Just being there was enough. He turned to her and said, You know, if someone had told me a whisper would lead to this, I'd have laughed. And if someone told me a human would change my future, I would not have. Believed it, she replied. But here we are, he said. Here we are. She rested her head lightly on his shoulder, and together, under the quiet stars, they watched a future that no one had expected, but one they had chosen together.